There's a look at Mac Jones on the field and steaming Miami, getting some throws in before this afternoon matchup against the Dolphins. Time now for the Name to Know, which is presented by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning. The Name to Know when the drains don't flow. Tua Tagovailoa will be trying to become the first quarterback to start his career 4-0 against Bill Belichick. While Belichick has been head coach of the Patriots, the other QBs to start 3-0 against Bill, Vinny Testaverde, Drew Brees, Jake Plummer, Jay Fielder, and John Elway, who went 4-0 while Bill Belichick was head coach of the Browns. Whole crew still here with me. A lot of expectations on Tua Tagovailoa down there in Miami because they gave up a lot for him in the 2020 draft, but also Tua hasn't produced for this Miami team. But Holley, I'll start with you. When you compare Mac Jones and Tua Tagovailoa, who's going to have the better 2022 campaign?
Come on. Do not put Tua Tagovailoa in the same sentence as Mac Jones. The only thing they have in common is they went to Alabama, but that was a long time ago because Tua was the starter there. Mac was on the bench, Tua got hurt, and Mac took over and had one of the great seasons in SEC history in 2019. But beyond that, in 2020, I think Cassel, I think Mac Jones is twice the quarterback.
Whoa!
I think he's twice the quarterback that Tua is.
2 times?
Because, 2 times. I think he has much more command, even after 1 year, much more command of his offense. I think he knows what he wants to do. I think he's very good. I think he processes much better than Tua does. I think he's more accurate than Tua is. I really don't think there's any comparison.
Well, I got to say, I agree with all of that, but it's not that imbalanced, Matt.
No, I don't think it's that imbalanced either. And if you look at the projections of these two guys' career, right, Tua, what he went through, he sat out, he was recovering from injury his rookie year. They didn't put him in a great position. They took over, I think it was week 9, struggled a little bit, and then all of a sudden last year, look, he played better at the end of the year, but that does that mean that Mac Jones is that much superior? No, he had better coaching. He had a better understanding for the offense. And yes, his processing ability, his ability to throw accurately and do all that, he was in a great position to be successful last year. But this year is going to really tell us, it's going to tell us a lot more about Tua and who he is as a quarterback because there's no excuses this year.
He won't have any excuses this year, not with the toys that he has on offense, not with the continuity that he has on offense, and an offensive-minded head coach who's been brought in as opposed to what Mac Jones is dealing with. So I would expect that Tua will have, on paper, to the naked eye, a better year than Mac. Phil, I know you love your Tua. Philly, give me your Tua takes.
Listen, Mac Jones will have the better year across the board, whether you're talking about eye tests, whether you're talking about statistics, than Tua Tagovailoa will. I think the Dolphins have told you what they think of Tua Tagovailoa, and I know it's a new staff here, but why would they pursue Deshaun Watson as hard as they did? Why would they pursue Tom Brady in the way that they did if they felt like there was something to build on with Tua Tagovailoa? Because, like Mac Jones, you have the ultimate advantage in this sport if you thought he was a good player at that position, being that he is still on that all-important rookie contract. It's pretty obvious to me that the front office here does not believe in Tua Tagovailoa. He will probably be in the better situation here, but I still think statistically Mac Jones will exceed Tua's numbers across the board.
Matt, going into this season, I am concerned about Mac Jones and him potentially taking a step back with everything that's happening on offense. Matt Patricia calling the plays, this, collaborative effort that Bill Belichick is trying to do here in New England. What is the potential for him to take a step back, and could that have any long-term damage on him?
Well, I think sometimes you have to take a step back before you move forward. And I'll use the example in 2010, Charlie Weiss came in to the Kansas City Chiefs, and that year we went to the playoffs because, one, I understood that system. And I understood how he was trying to run, what calls were being made. I was comfortable in that system. Next year, Charlie Weiss leaves. Jim Zorn comes into the quarterback room, and he and Bill Muir, our offensive line coach. Now, the terminology didn't change, but just how they approached the game, how the footwork was, how Jim Zorn, coming from a West Coast offense, wanted to read particular patterns. So we started that year, it was after the lockout, we started 0-3, but then we started to build momentum, started to understand who we were as an identity, made some adjustments, and then we went on a 4-game win streak. So not to say that they're not going to start out this game and go out and be dominant, but at the same time, you might have to expect some growing pains as they get used to each other, the personnel, formationally, how they're going to get going this season.
So imagine this. Jim Zorn comes in, a legendary Seattle Seahawks quarterback. Can't remember whether or not he was a Hall of Famer or not, but he would have come damn close. So with an offensive background, he took over, and you stumbled a little bit out of the gate. Imagine instead that you change an entire offense that had gone to 9 Super Bowls, won 6, and you now have a former defensive coordinator in his first effort at all running an offense solely on his shoulders. I think it's fascinating to see that, and I also saw the report from Ian Rappaport today saying that Bill Belichick will have a heavy influence on Matt Patricia today. I think this is another instance, guys, of Bill Belichick making sure that the buck stops with him ultimately. While I think it'll be Matt Patricia, the most it'll be is, Matt, we sure about that here? Or have we thought about doing this here? I don't think Bill will trump him. I think that Bill wants it out there and said that to Ian Rappaport to say that, look, if we go belly up today offensively, I want it on me, not Matt.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle between the Jim Zorn example, which is a great one, and what you've put out here is, oh my God, these defensive coordinators coming in. Keep in mind, like Matt Patricia, sure, defensive background, but Patricia has grown up with the Patriots. He got his NFL introduction through the Patriots. Joe Judge spent a lot of time with the Patriots before going to New York. So, yeah, they're not familiar with these roles, but they're familiar with the culture of the Patriots.
But the offense is so different. That's the other chaser to it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the offense is completely different. What we saw was different. But I don't know what's happened. When was the date of the Vegas game?
Oh, you know,
late August.
Like 3 weeks.
Late August.
Yeah.
So where they were in Vegas, what they showed us in Vegas, and what they're going to show us on September 11th in Miami, I think it's going to be a little different. You're not crazy enough to scrap the whole thing.